Hello and welcome back to another chatty video. I have a lot of things to do today, so I figure I would talk while I'm getting ready so that I can save a little bit of time. So that's what we're gonna do today. Today is actually my second day of waking up before 8 a.m. So I am feeling pretty good. The hardest part for me is honestly physically getting out of bed. I feel like once I'm out of bed, then I feel better. But the physically getting out of bed but that part is like extremely hard. I feel like I would do anything to snooze my alarm when I'm in that state of wanting to just go back to bed. But one thing I noticed from yesterday is just how much more time I really felt like I had. It's kind of insane. Like, when I thought about it, probably by noon, it felt like it was already like 5 p.m. Like, I've lived a whole day, but I still have a whole nother day left of my day. So, that's why I'm kind of trying to wake up a little bit earlier, especially now that I'm not going on my phone. It's like I'm actually doing things. So, I am really trying to say yes to all of the things, all of the like times people invite me out or just spontaneous little things to do. I'm just trying to say yes to them because I feel like for the longest time I've kind of just stayed in the house and stayed by myself and just like lived my life in the same way every single day. So I'm trying to say yes to new things and different things. Today I'm going with my mom to Sunrise Greenhouse, which is a huge, massive greenhouse. So we went earlier this year and they gave us coupons to come back for July. So I cannot say no to a garden center trip. I'm actually the one that wants to go. My mom doesn't even want to go. Making her. I wanted to talk a little bit more about being cringe and just doing things that are hard or don't really feel the most comfortable in the moment. I think I've always been someone to prioritize me feeling the least embarrassed, if that makes sense. Like, I never really wanted to feel like I put myself too out there and people could make fun of me. So I think like I minimize those types of risks of, visibility and just doing things that were a little bit different than people so that I wouldn't fit in. And that's kind of how I lived for pretty much all of my life up until I'm still probably kind of living that way, honestly. Which I find so fascinating that it's so hard to really break out of that mentality, even though I know that what's on the other side of fear is probably better than where I'm at right now. But it feels like that self-preservation instinct is just way too strong, and so it's kind of hard to just switch gears from doing things so that people will accept me and I'll be normal to them versus like maybe going my own way and being a little bit of a weird girl and staying true to who I am, even if people make fun of me for it or I don't seem normal. But I do need to remember who I am at heart, and that is a weird girl. And I've seen so many things about how the weird girls are going to rise in this coming couple of years. And I think that's just because maybe we're all going to be so sick of just staying in the same box and not showing up as ourselves fully all the time, that it's just going to be a huge pivot to where people are just fully themselves all the time and being okay with being cringe, which I really do hope is true because life is a little bit more fun when you're cringe, to be honest. I'm saying all of this, but I still can't go up to the meat counter at the grocery store by myself. So it's way easier to sit in front of my camera in my house and say this. But being cringe in the real world, being cringe in the real world, I think is a little bit different. When I'm trying to like show up with my full personality and just like be really out there with who I am, it almost feels performative. And I think that's because I've just held myself back for so long. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. Like, I'm so used to playing Amanda that I'm not used to being myself really. So just trying to feel what feels like me and what feels like a character that I've just been playing is something that I've just tried to notice lately. But I think I've also been kind of just surrounding myself with the people that I feel comfortable with too. So that's been helping me like just feel comfortable in actually being myself. I also think that it's way easier to be yourself when you're around new people for some reason. I think maybe that's because they have no idea who you are, so they don't have any like prejudgments of you, or they don't really know how you normally act. So it feels like you can let the mask off a little bit easier when you know this person has no idea about your background, they have no idea how you normally talk and how you normally just present yourself. So it's a little bit more easy to be a little bit more freer about who you are when you're with new people. I find that so interesting. It feels like, yeah, when you're just hanging out with your close friends or people that you're just used to being around all the time, you kind of do get stuck in the routine of being playing the part that you do in the relationship, or um, just maybe not showing up fully yourself if you didn't start out that way. So I think it might be a little bit harder to switch from kind of masking or kind of like hiding yourself a little bit to like being yourself with someone that you know versus like just starting fresh. I know a lot of people talk about how like random people will come up to them at the grocery store or something and share their whole life story, or just feel comfortable saying things they might not feel comfortable saying to like their close friends. And I think that's just because there's like that disconnect there where um, the person just has no idea who you are, so they're not really going to maybe judge you as much as people who do know you will. And I think that can also be because maybe sometimes the friends that you make or the people that you have in your life, sometimes you were, sometimes you needed each other at one point because you were at a certain place in your life. Like you met in college and you were roommates and you guys did everything together in college. But then after getting out into the real world and getting real jobs, you might notice that you don't really have as much in common or don't really have as much time to spend with them. But yeah, I did get a comment that really made me think that it is true that we maybe have our friends because we were in the same place as them at the same time. That's not to say that that relationship is any less meaningful or something, but it's interesting how most of the people in our lives are there because of proximity, maybe, versus because we have the same interests or we like doing the same things. And maybe that's true for me because I haven't really been in any clubs probably since high school. I think in college I was way too scared to go like put myself out there and join any of the clubs. I went to a Filipinos in Alliance group at UIC, and oh my god, I just felt like I wasn't Filipino enough to be there. So that first like meeting really like scared me into never joining a club. So I think part of that is also my fault because I didn't explore things that I like to do, so I didn't meet people who also like to do the same things as me. And obviously, even if your relationship is because you were just in the same place at the same time, that doesn't mean that you won't also have things in common. But yeah, I was just thinking about how in college, I dormed for the first 2 years, so it was such a different way of life, I guess, of the fact that really everybody is around all the time. You could just stop in at people's rooms in the middle of the night. Well, I mean, that's kind of rude, but like basically you could just run around and knock on each other's doors at whatever time you wanted to, and you would be with your friends all the time. And while I really did like it at the time, I don't think that I could ever go back. Like, I like having my own personal space and my freedom and like not having people just show up randomly to my house. I'm not one of those types of people. Like, some friend groups are the types where you can just show up to their house and just come inside and it's no big deal. But for me, I think I need a little bit of preparation, especially because I'm haven't especially because before I wasn't the best at like taking care of the house and making sure it's clean. So most of the time it's like a me thing where I don't want them to come in because I don't want them to see how dirty my house is, but also because I just need a little bit of preparation, I think, now in social settings. Like, I need an advance notice. I can't just spontaneously have you come to my house for dinner. I'm sorry. But I guess that's how we did make such close friendships so quickly, is because one, we were all kind of like going through a new thing together, like first time being out of the house, first time going to college, and living in a dorm. And we would always see each other all the time. Like, you'd pass the same people every day because you guys live in the same wing or area of the college. You go to the same cafeteria and eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner together. So you're just kind of bound to get closer with people. And I think maybe that's why a lot of my friendships kind of fell off once I stopped dorming, is because I lived about like an hour, so I had to commute like an hour, and that didn't really give much time for extra things or just to run into new people or run into my old friends. So I think maybe that's why my social life took a plummet once I started commuting, now that I think about it. I think I've always kind of tried to tell myself that I don't need friendships. Um, Obviously, I've always really craved a friend, like a close friendship, or just to have a lot of friends. But I've kind of, since I wasn't really able to have that in my life, I kind of just told myself that I don't need friendships. I don't want to be around people too much, and I'm good being on my own. But I think that's kind of hard. I think that I really isolated myself a little bit and kind of stepped too far back. And so trying to just find a balance between like caring too much or like being too closed off is a bit tricky for me right now, because I feel like I'm someone who's like very all in or all out, and that can kind of make it so once I do try to find friendships, I'm a little bit too invested in it, and um, that's not healthy either. But I think I've also just been a little bit too nonchalant about, like, oh, I don't care who's in my life. Whoever wants me in life will be there. And um, maybe I just have been like pretending like I don't really care when I actually really do. I do crave a community that I feel like I can belong to, and having friends that support me. So I do have friends that support me, but just feeling that a little bit more, I guess. I noticed that I never really am drawn to talk about dating whenever I'm talking about things like that. And I think that's because me and Kevin have been in a relationship for almost 10 years. This year in November, we will make 10 years. So when I say that, that sounds freaking crazy. 10 years sounds insane. That's a whole decade. So yeah, that means me and Kevin have been together throughout my whole 20s. So we started dating when I was 20. What the heck? No. I need a new eyeliner. And maybe it just feels like so natural to me at this point that it doesn't feel like it takes much work. I mean, it definitely does take work. Living with a man is always going to take work. But um, it just feels like we are able to get through our conflicts so naturally now. We have really developed a good way of communicating with each other, that it just feels like, what is there to talk about? We got this, we got it down. We know what we're doing. But I think that does just come from us being in a 10-year relationship. So I'm trying to think of different things that we've learned along the way that might be helpful to share. I think everybody who's in a long term relationship can agree that communication is key to everything. If you don't know how to communicate with each other, it's not going to work. If you guys can't get through conflicts together without there being any animosity at the end of the day, then it's probably going to be rough. Because I think because I think that like some other people that I've talked to who have also been in like pretty long relationships have also said that, like, not at the beginning of the relationship, but maybe like 3 years in, 3 to 5 years in, you go through like, it feels like years of you just constantly fighting with each other, and you don't understand each other, and just things keep popping up that make you fight with each other. And I think going through that really made us learn how to get through those fights and learn what we actually want in a relationship, what we're willing to put into a relationship, what we want out from our partner. And by going through that, it really did make us stronger. So if you are in that phase right now, and that's so hard because it can also be toxic, like if you're fighting too much, that can also be toxic. But if you're going through that right now and you're not feeling like it's toxic, it will get better. But I think I've also really not talked about it because relationships are so different. Each relationship is very unique in the way, because everybody's unique. So when you put two people together, that just doubles the uniqueness, I feel like. So it's hard to like say what will work for me will work for everybody, because that's not true. But I guess that's kind of the same with friendships too. Every friendship is pretty unique, so I don't know why I view them so differently. I really don't think I understand what's going on in men's brains too, because yeah, me and Kevin met 10 years ago. I think a man from 10 years ago and a man right now are pretty different. I mean, just like watching all these dating shows, like The Ultimatum we started the other day, and I have already been seeing a lot of things on TikTok about how crazy these men are, and it's very true. Like, freaking, can red pilled men get out of our dating shows so we can just enjoy crappy reality TV? But is that like just how men are now? I don't know. So I think that I have like a decent amount of things to say about being in a relationship, but in terms of like dating and meeting, like making new relationships, I have no idea. I have no idea. I don't even remember how to do that. And I'm good where I'm at, so I'm not planning to do that anytime soon. But I know that that can be really hard. I remember before I had Kevin, I really felt lonely and like I really wanted love and I wanted to be in relationships. So I know that that can be a struggle. Um, it's crazy how much, not that I take him for granted, but it's crazy to just think about how I had different wants 10 years ago than I do now. And that's just because I'm at a different point in my life. So, yeah, I don't know if I'm really the one to go to for dating advice. Maybe relationship advice we can get into a little bit. I don't know what the secret to staying in a relationship for 10 years is, but if I had to pick something, it would definitely be communication. And just both parties really willing to put in the same amount of effort, because if one person's trying to fix something and the other person doesn't really care, then it's never really going to work out. Or if the other person has a problem and their partner doesn't want to work to fix it, um, a relationship takes two people, so it takes the effort of two people as well. Oh, I almost forgot to put on my lucky star. She's a little wonky today, but that's okay. All right, I gotta get out of here. He's gotta go outside. So thank you so much for spending time with me today. I will see you in the next one. Bye.